It's cases like these that cost the NHS money, and documents obtained by the BBC under the Freedom of Information Act shed light on the estimated amount spent by the NHS as a result of bullying. For many people, modifying their cars is more than a hobby. It's an art form in which they invest a lot of time and money. But for others, these types of vehicles will always be associated with thumping music and boy racers. Caught on camera, young people dealing drugs on a London street. Money changes hands and the deal is done.
I was making about 400, 500 a week.
Carlos used to be one of these young dealers. At 15, he sold drugs to make ends meet.
At the time, my mum had more or less just upped and left, so to speak, upped and left me and my brother on our own in my house kind of thing. So really, it was more or less me looking after me and my brother on top of just myself. So when my mum had gone out to pay electric and food for the house and dog food and stuff like that, really.
It was a chaotic and dangerous lifestyle for a child to live.
So it was like, I was scared that all that could have happened is someone could have come to my house, someone could have phoned me to ask for something and then robbed me there, and I could have just got myself shot for over a bit of weed, really.
For some children in some areas of London, dealing is not unusual. More than 1,000 children have been arrested for drug dealing in London over the past 3.5 years. These figures, which we obtained under the Freedom of Information Act, show that children as young as 12 have been arrested in London for dealing drugs. But academics have discovered a disturbing new development, the possibility that even younger children could be getting involved in drugs.
One of the things that we became aware of was that youngsters as old as 8 or 9 were claiming affiliation to gangs. And certainly they were aware of what was going on in the neighbourhood in terms of who had guns, who had drugs.
Experts believe that due to the hidden nature of drug dealing, the bulk of this activity does not appear in criminal statistics. And if this is the case, the numbers of younger children involved could be more than previously recognised. Nicola Beckford, BBC London News. He's actually asking for tighter restrictions on the Freedom of Information Act, and he's calling for an urgent review, and that's what he said in his letter to the Lord Chancellor, Lord Faulkner. He goes on to say that he's concerned that officials' advice is being disclosed, and this was never the purpose of the Freedom of Information Act. He's particularly worried as well that the Information Tribunal has been ruling against the government recently. Now, what's interesting about that line is that the Information Commissioner this morning was actually discussing some of these decisions, and he said that in the particular cases that Mr. Darling we think is referring to, no harm actually came about from disclosure in this case. The Driving Standards Agency says it's trialling CCTV to help provide a safe environment for its staff. But the Examiners Union told us that not enough is being done.
So understandably then the union not happy. What do they want to see done about it?
Well, the union says that this problem could easily be avoided if results were simply sent in the post. And of course, examiners then wouldn't be placed in the difficult position of having to tell candidates that they've failed. They're also looking for more prosecutions. And what they also really want is to have clear posters in test centres that say, look, you will be prosecuted if you attack our staff.
Is there any indication, though, Nicola, as to why these attacks are on the increase? Is there a change in society's expectations when they sit these tests?
Well, I spoke to a number of instructors and examiners, and what came through quite strongly was the fact that there has been this change in attitude. And one of them actually said it's the new pop idol generation. They're not used to having the word no said to them. So they pay their money, they take their test, and they just expect to pass. And, you know, in their opinion, they are great drivers. And it's almost as if the examiner's opinion is completely irrelevant, and they've got no problem in actually saying, well, you know, I'm a great driver, I don't care what you think.
Well, maybe that idea of sending the result in the post, apparently they do it in France, don't they?
They've done it, and with great success.
That's right.
Either that or send Simon Cowell in.
Possibly.